'Cause if I went Humean, then I would say no. There's no reason to that. And I'm just forced to believe it. Um,
Well, you're making a
so
claim that it's impossible in your non-Christian world, a world that is not attributed to the God of the Bible, that it's impossible for me to jump to the moon because of the regularity of nature and that the future will be like the past. Okay. Will the future be like the past? Do you know that?
I guess there comes to a point when whether I can make a knowledge claim about the future in general, without because it's an unverifiable
Do you have a
statement.
justification that the future will be like the past?
So what I would say is, yes, I think that you can make a justifiable argument in relation to the future
Okay.
being like the past on
What is
probability.
it that institute I didn't we're not talking about probability because that's not necessarily true. Will the future be like the past?
I can't say it will or will not, because I
Okay,
can't have a knowledge claim for that.
all right, and then you can't if you can't tell me that the future will be like the past, then you have no grounds to say that it's impossible for me to jump to the moon in the next 10
Oh, I
minutes.
can. I could say that I could say it's impossible by the definition of the word impossible, but it depends on like if you were to say that like
Now
would
you're playing word games. We're just talking in normal language, okay? No little mental verbal gymnastics here. Is it impossible for me to jump to the moon in the next 10 minutes? You said yes. I said why? And you said, well, there are laws of nature, physics. I asked you, will the future be like the past? Right? And you said yes, but you cannot rationally justify that, can you? In your not God world.
I can based on probability. Is what I said.
No. And well, probability depends upon background information. That background information is going to include what is static in the past, the present, and the future, and what is dynamic. Do you know what, if anything, has been secured by what is fundamental to be static in perpetuity?
I'm not sure if I understood that. Could you say that in
Is there
different words?
something at a fundamental level that imposes that some things will indeed be static in perpetuity?
Um, yeah, the law of logic, the law of identity.
No, the laws of logic don't stand in causal relations, my friend.
Well, I mean, what do you mean the laws of logic don't stand in causal relations?
The laws of logic do not stand in causal relations.
What do you mean by that?
They
Can you
don't. Would
explain?
you? Yeah,
Like,
the
so,
laws of logic just simply state that something is what it is, and it
mhm.
cannot equal what it is not. It doesn't dictate that there's a cause and effect relationship between events or particulars. Now, if you'd
Oh
like to
right,
argue,
oh right. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
if you'd like to argue for that, be my guest.
okay, wait, I see what you're saying. You're not like logic doesn't instantiate causation. Is
And
that
by the way, you keep on invoking laws of logic. Are these universal, absolute, and invariant?
necessary? Yeah,
And how do you know that anything's necessary?
it cannot be doubted.
Okay. The fact that it cannot be doubted does not instantiate it. How do
Um,
you know? How do you
I,
know? How do you know that anything is universal?
well, before we get onto that, because I think that's a separate point. Do you want to continue the line of question in relation to the causation? Because you were asking us about
Uh,
whether I could instantiate causation.
Actually, you're trying to invoke that are both that are real. You can't do either. Okay. Is there something that imposes either one of these at a fundamental level in reality? Is there something
Um,
fundamental and ultimate that imposes and secures in
causation
perpetuity?
and laws of logic.
Is there anything that is fundamental and ultimate that institutes and secures the causal principle, the uniformity of nature, or laws of thought? Is there anything that imposes that at an ultimate and fundamental level?
I do not know.
Okay, then if you don't know, then you have no business saying any of those things exist.
Oh no, I can. I can say that if
No,
so,
you don't know that they you
based
don't
on
know that they've been
the
into you don't
necessary
know.
based on the
No,
necessary
you
assumption,
can't say anything's necessary.
you can. It's
No,
for me
no,
to be
you
able to make
can't.
an for me to be able to speak.
No, no, you can't say anything's necessary because you don't know what is ultimate and fundamental dictating anything.
I'd say that it cannot be doubted. If it was doubtable,
Is
then
okay, doubt requires reason, does it not?
it does.
Okay, in your world, if nothing is designated to be fundamental and ultimate, then what grounds do you have at a metaphysical foundational level for reason? Is there anything that instantiates, that institutes and secures that there is going to be actual anything static or continuity.
There is nothing in my worldview that I can point to that necessarily instantiates reason. It is simply undoubtable and therefore
Okay.
necessary for any
No,
argument,
no.
including this one.
In order to doubt, must reason be a viable concept?
Yes, including the doubt of
Okay.
reason.
Could you reason? Okay. Doubt requires reason, does it not?
It does. So we can't doubt reason
Okay.
without reason.
Now, reason or doubt requires reason as a prerequisite. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree.
Okay. Now, reason, could you reason in a world where nothing can be defensively argued to be impossible?
Could you reason in a world where sorry, say that again? Could you reason in a world
Can you
where
reason in a world where nothing is impossible?
nothing is impossible? Um, could you reason in a world where nothing is impossible? Um, if it like this is a how are you defining impossible? Does it include the like so could something be impossible?
Nothing is impossible. Anything and anything can happen.
Anything and anything could happen, including something that
Yeah.
which
For
defies.
example, for example, me scratching my nose, okay, could produce 4 Eiffel Towers. Is that impossible?
Right. What I'm really concerned with is whether something could
Yeah,
be itself and not
listen,
itself.
listen. I'm asking you very clear, circumspect questions that the people, my interlocutors, on a day by day basis,
I
don't
know.
have any trouble answering. You seem to be tying yourself in knots, answering questions that other people don't have trouble answering.
Oh, maybe that's true. I just want clarity from this, so I just want to make sure that we're on the on
I'm
the
making
same level.
myself very clear. I've done so several times.
Not well.
Okay.
Maybe that's true,
Is
but that
anything
doesn't mean that I don't
identifiably and
misunderstand
defensibly
or
is
that I
anything
necessarily will.
identifiably or defensibly impossible?
Is anything identifiably or that
In
is
a
impossible?
world
Yes. Yes.
in a world, okay, what is it at a fundamental level, ontologically, that
Ontologically.
imposes what's impossible? And please don't say the laws of logic because we've covered that. You haven't
Why?
defended you
Why
haven't
can't the laws
defended
of like the
the actuality of the laws of logic. You've just said they're true because you can't doubt them.
yes, that would be necessary.
No,
Necessary.
no, no, you don't know what anything is necessary because you don't know what's fundamental and ultimate that would dictate that anything is necessary.
Well, my question, like, if I may, my
I want
question,
you to focus on what I last just said.
what do you think necessary
I
means?
want you, okay, it means it cannot not be.
Yeah, that it need be essential,
Okay. Why?
fundamentally
Okay.
essential that
Is there something that is ultimate and fundamental that institutes and secures that anything is necessary?
um the only
And I'm
thing that
talking ontologically.
well my point well one I would say that the laws of logic exist in being itself.
The
Like
laws of logic don't stand in causal relations.
you just jumped from one argument to the other.
The
When we're
laws of
talking about
logic do not stand in causal relations.
okay, so the
Now,
laws of logic don't stand
since
in
you're going to
causal
say
relation.
that something's necessary, I want to know what it is at a fundamental and ultimate level that would institute and secure that anything is necessary. Do you have anything defensible that would implement and secure that?
There is nothing that could show the necessity of logic sufficiently. It is fundamentally impossible.
I didn't mention logic. You need to focus on my questions. Not answer something that you would like to me have said. You need to answer the questions that I have asked you. Is there anything that is fundamental and
Oh,
ultimate that
you're roboting a bit,
dictates?
mate.
Is there anything that is fundamental and ultimate that dictates any and all possibility and impossibility?
Is there anything that dictates all possibility and impossibility? Um, Not that I'm aware of or not aware of, if that's
So
so.
you
I
have
have no
nothing
idea.
identifiable. Okay, so therefore nothing's impossible then.
Well, yeah, anything that breaks the laws of logic would be impossible.
None. No. What dictates the laws of logic?
Necessity.
And what fundamentally and ultimately institutes and secures that?
What institutes necessity? It's an ability to be doubted.
No, you're not understanding.
It's
Is
essential.
everything okay? Is everything that is, can be, or cannot be uh, the sourced by what is fundamental and ultimate, or
Sorry,
is
you're
nothing,
really
or
you're roboting, mate.
is
Like
is
your
there, okay?
connection.
You have no identifiable ultimate and something that's fundamental that
You're
would
roboting a
institute a
lot.
secure.
You need to disconnect and reconnect.
I can turn down the bit rate of the room. Probably help.
Just give him a minute, guys.
Turn on the bit rate. You can probably half it and the quality won't be hampered too much.
Okay, is that better?
That sounds better to me.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, he has a question, mate.
Okay,
Would
well,
you say that God
I'll
is
be glad to,
necessary?
I'll be, God himself is what is fundamental and ultimate. He's eternal. He
Right,
is the
and is his
Almighty.
existence
Now,
necessary?
okay, it's
'Cause he's
necessary, and he's metaphysically necessary. Yes,
okay. Why would you say that he's metaphysically necessary?
because he revealed that he is the only thing that is eternal. Now,
Okay,
I've
and
answered your
how do you
question.
know that he revealed?
Okay. Well,
How do you
first
know
of
that he
all,
revealed that?
okay, I'll be glad to address that, but you have yet to answer my questions. You keep on flipping and flopping all over the place. Now, what I want to
Um,
know to you is, can you say what is, can be, or cannot be when there's nothing
is
identifiable?
cannot.
Would you not overspeak me, please?
Sorry, I'm just running it through my head. Sorry.
Okay. So, can you assert in a logically necessary way uh, what is, can be, or cannot be if you have nothing that is identifiably instituting what's possible and impossible? Since you don't know what, if anything, is fundamental or ultimate, and you have no defense that there's something dictating what's possible and impossible, then you're not going to be in a position to say what is, can be, or cannot be. You keep on appealing to the laws of logic, but the laws of logic are abstractions about the nature of all particulars. But you don't
You
know,
said okay, but
the fact that you can't doubt them doesn't instantiate them. I want to know how you can assert anything that is necessary when you don't know that anything is fundamental and ultimate dictating everything.
well, here's actually, I guess, the point. I would say that there cannot be knowledge in relation to something which is absolute and ultimate because it goes beyond comprehension, because
Mm.
it would
Well,
require something that goes beyond human capacity. So
well,
then you would have to
that's
tell
wrong.
me how you
That's
can
wrong.
know God
That's wrong.
without
That's
attributing
yeah,
something
no.
which is
Well, first of all,
non-absolute to him.
you're changing the subject now. You're baiting and switching. Now, everything you just said is wrong because
How
there
is
are
it?
Listen to me.
Okay.
Everything you just said is categorically wrong because there are rocks on the moon. Do you accept or reject that?
Wait, what?
Everything you just said is wrong because there are rocks on the moon. Do you accept or reject that statement?
I have no idea what that means in terms of how
There
it's
are
relevant
there
to
are there are
rhetoric.
rocks on, there are rocks on the moon. Therefore, everything you said is false. Do you accept that?
No, I do not accept that.
Okay, well, how would you rule that out in a world where nothing is defensibly impossible?
Well, I would say the laws of logic are always
N-
necessitated, which is the necessitation rule in modal logic, which is why they're in
what
all
you see?
possible
You're not.
worlds include
No,
include logic.
no. How would you know what's possible if you don't know what is fundamental, ultimate, dictating what's possible? What's possible and impossible are contingencies. Okay,
No, they're not.
Okay, listen to me. What's possible? We're not talking about abstractions here. We're talking about the real world. Okay, we're not talking about your vivid imagination. All right. What we're talking about is the ontology of existence. Okay.
Okay.
What is, can be, or cannot be ontologically? Is there something that is fundamental and ultimate that is the source and the basis of why anything is, can be, or cannot be ontologically?
That question cannot be answered.
If you can't answer that, then you need to be quiet in your non-Christian worldview, because you're not going to be in a position to say what is, can be, or cannot be. The only way
That's
that
not
we
true.
could, good, then how would you be able to know what can be ontologically then? How do you do that?
So you would build it up from the necessitated basis of being, nothingness, and reason.
No, listen to me. That is mumbo jumbo what you just said. Okay.
Is that
Now,
mumbo jumbo?
it's mumbo jumbo. Please tell me what is fundamental and ultimate, dictating and securing what is ontologically possible and impossible. What is it?
There is no ability to, there is no way to define something which is external to possibility by definition.
Okay. Repeat that again.
So there is no ability to define something which goes beyond the limits of language, goes beyond the limits
Okay.
of possibility
So there's
by definition.
so as far as you know is then events and relationships be events could all be spontaneous and unrelated.
As far as any of us know, there is no fundamental instantiation of the laws of logic beyond the point of
Okay.
necessity.
Again, the laws of logic pertain to all particulars. All right. Now I'm going to ask you a question.
I deny the existence
In-
of particulars.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. Well, then the conversation's over then, because then there are no actual distinctions. Any verbalizing of distinctions would be fiction.
No, you can have individuals and individual universals. So this would be
No,
the understanding of Aristotle.
when I talk about particulars, I'm talking about things that are discrete from other things ontologically. Are we clear?
That's determinate objects or determinate beings.
Okay, yeah,
That's separate from
listen,
particulars.
listen to me. I'm talking about ontologically here. Okay, is the ultimacy of reality, is it a concrete one or a concrete many?
Is it the one or many? It's both.
And how were you able to determine that?
Because
How did you determine what is the concrete one? What is that?
how did I determine what is the concrete one?
What is the concrete one? What is it that, in order to tell me what the concrete one is, you're going to have to be identifying what is fundamental and ultimate. But you told me that that's unidentifiable and
I don't
unaccessible.
believe I can tell you what the concrete one is beyond the point
Okay,
of saying
then
it is.
how do you know there's a concrete one?
All I would say is there's a necessity of existence.
No,
So it's being.
okay, listen to me. All you're giving me is mumbo jumbo. Now,
How am I giving you mumbo jumbo, man?
is the totality of reality, is it a concrete one or a concrete many? You said it's both. Okay, what is the concrete one?
What is the concrete one? The necessity of existence.
No, sir, that's an abstraction. I want to know concretely, what is it that is one?
It is the. Well, I can only talk in abstractions about what is an abstract
No,
concept.
if something is a concrete one, it's not an abstract one. That is why I ask you, is the totality of existence a concrete one or a concrete many? You said it's a concrete one and a
Oh,
concrete
I see what
many.
you mean. I see what you're saying. Okay, I
We're
don't know.
talking ontologically. Okay. So you don't know whether the totality of reality that it's a concrete one or not.
I don't know whether the fundamental existence of reality is one or many in its
Okay. Okay. So when so
entirety.
when so when you invoke references to distinctions being actual, is that real or fiction?
When something is actual, I would say that it's real. Yeah.
So actual distinctions between um, entities, it's real.
Yeah.
And how do you know that?
I could say that the distinction between the entities. Well, this is. I guess I would say that there is no fundamental way to know whether these distinctions exist in terms of
So
the
you don't. So
totality
you
of
don't
being.
know. So you don't know if distinctions are real or fiction.
I do. in a concrete sense, but not in an abstract sense.
Okay, so you know that distinctions are real. Okay, now
Mhm.
is there anything that concrete unifies these distinctions so that you could intelligibly speak in your world? The God of the Bible Himself has imposed a concrete oneness and manyness. Okay, so is there anything in your non-Christian worldview that concretely unifies the distinctions that you say are real?
Becoming. I would say becoming
No,
unifies
what
them.
is it? What is it? What is it concretely that imposes and sustains that the unity among the diversity of entities is real?
Can wait a minute. Wait. What do you mean by concretely? Because are you saying that God? Then what do you mean by
I'm not talking about
what do you mean by
abstract
concrete?
unity.
Well, what do you
Okay,
mean by concrete?
when God created this world,
Mhm.
okay, he introduced an array of distinctions of particulars. He then imposed at various levels categories, classes, right, and universals. They are imposed by God and they are sustained by God, but you don't accept that.
But how
Now,
would you know
in
that they
order for
were
you,
imposed and
okay,
sustained by God?
we would know that by God revealing it. Now
But
I want to
why?
know
But
from
why would
you.
God?
I want it. Please don't overtalk me.
Well, I haven't
I
had a
want to
chance to
know.
ask you any
I want to
questions,
know from you.
so
Well,
it's
you
kind of
see,
one of
you
those
have
things.
you see, you wanted to establish our discussion here was about the viability of agnosticism. Right? I'll be
Yes,
glad to
yes, it
discuss
is.
my worldview in short order, but we haven't finished the first topic. You want to pretend like you did an effective case. You have done none of the such. Now, what I want to
Have I
know
not?
is this: can you make sense of your world if all of the distinctions in actual discrete particulars, ontological concrete particulars, that they is actual unity as opposed to abstract unity? Does unity actually exist among any discrete entities in existence?
Yeah, in becoming.
What imposes that at a fundamental and ultimate level?
I would not be able to make a knowledge claim about what could or could
So
not
you
impose
have
such a thing.
so you have no defense that unity has actually been imposed and sustained.
I would say that my defense is in the observation of unity and this
No,
necessary
that
observation of unity.
you're inferring there's unity there. Okay, if you see two women walking down the sidewalk, you might conclude that they're identical twins, but then you find out that they're doppelgangers. Okay,
Right.
what I
Yeah.
want to know from you is when you claim by your sense perception that there's unity among diversity. All right, I
Mhm.
don't want you to say, "Well, it seems to be that way. It appears that way." It's because the unity
Oh,
could be
certainly wouldn't.
the unity could be illusory. Now,
I
do
think
you
that's. I
believe that
think that's
unity?
a good
You
point. I think
believe
that's a good
okay,
point.
okay, would you not
Um,
overtalk me, please?
no, I'm just. I was
Would
actually.
you
I was
not
saying that's a good
overtalk me,
point.
please? Now, is the unity real?
Is the unity real? Yes.
Okay, as opposed to merely abstract. Now, what is it at a fundamental and ultimate level that is not the God of the Bible that imposes and secures that the unity is real?
I do not know if there is anything which
So you
imposes
don't
and
know that
secures.
so you don't know that the unity is real then.
I would say that I know it's real. Yes, I would.
Okay, what is it that imposes and secures that?
I would say that it's a hylomorphic relationship between
Okay, that's gobbledygook.
individuals.
Listen to me.
That's Aristotle, actually.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to give me an answer that everyone in this room can understand. You see,
Okay, I'll
it's
explain
very common.
hylomorphic.
It's very common for graduate students like you to speak in mumbo jumbo, to speak in double talk, to try to obscure the fact that you can't answer the question. Now,
Okay,
I want to
okay.
know: is there something that has actually instituted and secured actual unity?
Um, is there anything that is instituted and secured actual unity?
Hmm.
Um, actual unity. Unity between what?
Listen, dude, you're wasting my time. You know, you
No,
claim that you.
I'm
Please do
asking
not
you.
overtalk me.
I know
Don't
you're over.
overtalk
You're
me.
like
Don't overtalk me. Now, you are wasting my time by giving me mumbo jumbo gobbledygook responses. I ask these questions every single day. I've been doing it for several years from people from all different educational backgrounds. You're one of the rare individuals who keeps on spewing gobbledygook answers. Okay. Now, if you understand the basics of philosophy and you can explain it, you should be able to explain in everyday language for everyone in this room to understand what you're saying. Now, is there something that in actuality imposes and secures that there's unity among diversity?
Is there anything
No.
in reality which imposes or secures unity among diversity? Unity among diversity. One second. Let's formulate an adequate response, if I may. So, is there anything that let's try and make sure that I say this right. So, one second. If one second. Right. I would say that being itself necessitates unity at a fundamental level.
Okay. Does being encompass all particulars?
Being encompasses.
Does being represent, is it the set of all particulars?
Of all particulars. If by particulars, you mind if I take that as individuals?
All discrete ontological entities.
Discrete, there we go. Discrete. Does being represent all discrete ontological entities? Yes.
Okay, so it's an abstract set?
Yes.
Then it wouldn't be concrete. I want to know what concretely is ultimate and fundamental that imposes the actuality and the perpetuity of unity among discrete entities.
But wait a minute. What I kind of don't understand here is why you think there could be something concrete.
Okay,
is
there something that is ultimate and fundamental that imposes actual concrete unity as opposed to the appearance of unity?
There is nothing that we could know of that would be concrete that could establish unity beyond.
So you don't know if unity is concretely real or it's an illusion.
I do, because it's necessitated.
What at a fundamental and ultimate level institutes and secures that the unity is real and concrete?
Logic.
Logic is not what would dictate logic would be an abstraction, sir. That is a terrible answer, and I'm not trying to be insultive.
That's okay. I understand.
That's the kind of answer that I would expect from a 14-year-old, not a graduate student.
Okay. That's a bit spicy.
No, I think it's spot on.
Maybe it is, and let me establish why I'm pointing towards this.
Because logic.
If I may, I've let you speak. Let me elaborate. I want to elaborate.
No, I'm going to.
I want to elaborate. I want to elaborate.
Okay, no, I'm going to server mute you. This is not your room. Okay.
Look, it's not your stream at the end of the day.
Okay, so good. I don't care. You're in my room. Now listen to me carefully. I'm going to unmute you. Is logic?
Look, I want to expand.
Okay, well, I'm not going to. We're not going to keep on doing this. Okay. Now, I'm going to mute you in a second. Now, is logic what is fundamental and ultimate, instituting and securing all possibility and impossibility?
Sorry, say that again.
Is logic what is fundamental and ultimate, instituting and securing what's possible and impossible?
It is necessarily establishing what is possible.
No, you're not answering the question. Is logic what is ultimate and fundamental, instituting and securing what can or cannot be in terms of all ontology?
Yes.
Okay, you've now contradicted yourself. Do you realize
How?
that? Because
How?
I asked you earlier, is there anything identifiably and defensively ultimate and fundamental that institutes and secures what's possible? And you said you had nothing of the kind.
There is no such thing that is. Maybe I misspoke.
You've
It's
no,
not
you didn't.
absolute and
No,
fundamental.
I asked you the question several times. It's fresh in
You
my
misspoke
memory.
before. Why am I not allowed to misspeak?
I asked you several times earlier in the conversation, and this is being recorded so people can play back the video. I asked you several times over and over again, is there anything that is fundamental and ultimate, right? That institutes and secures
Fundamental,
all
yes. Ultimate, no.
possibility. No, okay, good. Then nothing would be ultimate then. Then all you have what is fundamental is metaphysical pluralism, where you have an array of unconcretely unified, discrete entities, all of which are independent of each other and are each sovereign within themselves.
That's begging the question. That's begging the question.
That's not begging the question because it wasn't an argument.
Well, it is, because like what
No,
you're
it's
saying.
not. No, it's not an argument. It was a statement of what is called metaphysical pluralism. You believe, therefore.
I don't believe in metaphysical pluralism.
Okay, listen to me. Well, then you're going to have to take back what you said. Then now listen carefully. You told me earlier there is nothing ultimate and fundamental. Now you're changing your tune. Now you're saying, "Oh, now there's something fundamental but not ultimate." Whereas when I asked you before, I asked you several
fundamental
times,
but not ultimate, and I've established that numerous times.
Okay, and how do you know what's fundamental?
Through reason, what can and cannot be doubted, what is necessary.
No. I'm talking ontologically. How do you
Through
know?
reason.
Are you omniscient?
No, actually, I'm not.
So by reason, you know what is fundamental in existence, that is eternal. So is what is fundamental? Is it one thing or is it a plurality?
Actually, may I just push back on that?
Is
and just
what
say
is
this.
fundamental a plurality?
Are you omniscient?
Okay. Is
Are
what
you
is
omniscient?
fundamental?
Are you
Listen to me.
omniscient?
You're wasting
Dom,
my time.
Are you omniscient? Are you omniscient?
Okay, I don't have to be, because I'm on the receiving end of a God who is omniscient, and he makes me to know certain things that I cannot be wrong about, that are within the scope of his redemptive plan of history. But since you reject that, I don't want to have to server meet you again.
No, look, I just want to ask.
No, listen to me. You claim you're a graduate student. You're not acting like a graduate student. Okay? Now I'm going to unmute you. Now,
I've let you speak this entire time. I'm asking you.
We're not getting anywhere.
Look, mate.
I'm going to mute you.
Either we're going. Look. I'm
going to mute you again. Okay. No, we're not going to do this. Listen.
It doesn't really.
I've explained to you my worldview. Do you accept the Christian worldview?
One second, guys. Okay.
All right. I'm not going to keep doing this. Okay. If he keeps on being unruly like this, I'm going to have to remove him. Okay.
He's not a child. Y'all are supposed to be having a conversation.
Okay. Here he is. He's a graduate student. He presents himself off that he's a philosopher on YouTube. He's acting anything but like a philosopher. He's reasoning like a teenager.
Followed this guy for quite a while, believe it or not. I found him randomly. Had a small discussion with him.
I have talked with 16-year-olds that were more coherent than this guy. He's flipping, he's flopping all over the place, he's contradicting himself. I asked him, is there anything that is ultimate and fundamental? I asked it several times. He said, no, there's nothing identifiable doing that. Now, what is fundamental? Is it a plurality of things, or is what is fundamental a concrete one?
Okay, so what is fundamental is that which is necessitated, which
listen
is
to me carefully. I'm going to tell you this one more time.
It would be a
fundamental.
fundamental.
Specific question.
It would be a fundamental one.
Okay, then distinctions. Then what is fundamental is a concrete one. So then distinctions would be illusory.
Why would distinctions be illusory?
Okay, so they're not illusory?
No, because one is.
Okay, could you tell me what is it? What is the concrete one then?
What is the concrete one? Being.
That That's not informative.
It is the foundation of all concrete.
No, it is non-informative.
It is definitely informative, which is why Parmenides argued it.
I want to know what is concretely one in existence that dictates all particulars. What is that? What is that?
How does being dictate all particulars?
No, okay, please don't interrupt. Okay, please don't interrupt. It's telling me its being is beyond vague and ambiguous. It's that's not informative. What is this concrete one?
It is the fundamental is, in the words of Parmenides. It is
okay. Listen to me. I'm going to end this really soon because you need. If you claim that you put yourself on a YouTube, ask a philosopher anything. First of all, you're not a philosopher. You don't have a PhD. Actually. No, you're not a philosopher. Have you earned a PhD? Okay, then don't call yourself a philosopher. Okay?
Why didn't you PhD to become a philosopher?
Okay. Because that's like calling yourself a doctor before you have an MD.
No, it's not actually. It's very different.
We're not going to play these little silly little games. I want to know what the concrete one is. What is it? And don't say being. I want. Okay, we're done. We're done with you. You're a moron. Okay, I disconnected him because this is what's going to be the rest of the conversation. All right.
Quick question. You know, like when you said,
hold on. People can make comments in a minute. I just want to make a comment here. This is what happens with some of these graduates.
This is what happens
when they know that they cannot. Please do not overtalk me. No, we're done. I asked you to give me an informative answer. Okay.
Well, I think it's even if you
overtalk me again, I'll kick you from the server.
If you kick us from the server, that's fair enough.
Bye.
Okay.
So. This is what happens with some of these graduate students. They think they're so damn smart. Now, when I ask these questions to him, he's one of the few people that is so confused. He doesn't know what the answer is, so he starts making stuff up and speaking in philosophical mumbo jumbo. He says, "Oh, what's fundamentally concrete is being." Well, what is that? What is that? And he knows that unless he speaks in mumbo jumbo, he's going to look like a fool. Okay, and he flips and he flops. Then he said the laws of logic are what is ultimate. But then he says being is ultimate. He can't seem to make up his mind. So it's pointless continuing the conversation because he's demonstrating a pattern of behavior here that he's being evasive, he's being ethereal, he's deliberately being esoteric, right? So we're done with him. I gave him plenty of time to speak like a normal person, but he decided he wanted to spew mumbo jumbo to hide the fact that he has no answers. Okay, I pity the people who might be his students if he does get a PhD. Okay, the floor is now open.
Just to clarify, in background to this guy, he's like a complete about Marxist through and through.
Why am I not surprised?
I followed him for a while, and this is he talks about it a lot. You know, the sort of normal stuff. They sort of say no ethical consumption under capitalism, and wants to.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I asked him, "What is it? What is it that is ultimate? Is it the one or the many?" And then he said both. And then later on, he said what was fundamental was a concrete one. Right? How can it be a concrete one and then a concrete one and the many? He flips, he flops, he contradicts himself. And in order to cover his tracks, he spews out ethereal and esoteric mumbo jumbo. I've talked with people with PhDs in philosophy before. They don't talk like this, at least not usually. He's simply covering for the fact with, lingo and phraseology that he likes, but it's not informative, right? So he was deliberately obfuscating and trying to cloud the issue to hide the fact he doesn't know what he's talking about when he rejects the Christian worldview. And like clockwork, when you confront somebody about their non-Christian worldview, after they've rejected the Christian worldview, they want to move the goalposts and have you redefend the Christian worldview. Well, he's already rejected it. He couldn't defend his worldview squat diddly. Okay.
So I was watching the stream, and after the discussion, he immediately scythed the point to how you should act in a debate rather than sticking on the actual topic. As soon as he got kicked, I just thought it was quite funny.
Well, much of the time I try to be patient, with his monologuing.
So, Darth, what is your degree in philosophy?
Everybody's calling himself out as a philosopher on YouTube.
All right, I'll be right back.
Everyone is a philosopher. Everyone does philosophy. Not all people do it well.
Yeah, but this was like Darth complaining, right? That he was not a philosopher.
He wasn't acting like
but now you are saying everybody is a philosopher.
Everyone is.
It's just that he's claiming to have knowledge.
He's claiming to be.
Yeah, he's claiming to be a philosopher and having knowledge of philosophy.
Yeah, therefore, my question: what is Darth's degree in philosophy? I'm just curious.
He wasn't putting himself as a degree philosopher.
You've been out here multiple times, Pio, and you troll and troll.
Yeah, Pio, drop it.
It is just a
Yeah.
question.
All he was Goethe Hegel. That's all the guy was doing. Being, non-being, becoming.
Yeah, he is a Hegelist, right?
He's a Hegelian.
He loves. To quote him, I love Hegel. Right? I followed him for a while.
Yeah. Well, that's the
all right, I'm back.
Yeah,
listen. There's only so much I'm going to put up with him spewing his mumbo jumbo and him not admitting his multiple contradictions.
Yep.
How does he know any of these universals? How does he know that? He goes, reason. Okay, good. How?
Good question. So what do you think, Darth? I mean, I know I can't speak for this chap and that, but most atheists tend to say that that logic is descriptive, not prescriptive. But if it's descriptive, then there's no way it's going to be able to institute and secure possibility, right?
Yeah, and you can't appeal to things that are outside of your immediate experience or in the future. Look, this guy was a train wreck. Okay, he puts himself off. He calls himself a philosopher before achieving a PhD. He was calling himself a philosopher, unless I'm mistaken, even before he had finished his master's. Okay, now I could be mistaken about that. That's what I gleaned from his YouTube channel, right? So this is what people do when people get confronted with problematic views that they hold. They start speaking in mumbo jumbo, which is what he was doing. He was flipping, he was flopping, he was contradicting himself. And I had just about reached my patience threshold with him over talking. The reason why the times I interjected and overtalked him is because he's not really addressing the issue at hand.
Can I ask you a question, Darth?
Sure.
What makes God, right? Let's say that there's a deity, right? What makes him necessarily the God of the Bible? What is it that the Bible produces that makes him the God of the Bible and not God of the Hinduism or
Because without an absolute and ultimate God who has all the great making properties, there's not going to be human intelligibility ontologically. The God of the Bible has all the necessary and sufficient properties and attributes, the great making properties. There is no other God out there on the historical landscape that one.
He impregnates virgins.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to be banned, Nick? Now, Nick, if you want to make a serious objection to the God of the Bible, I'll give you your time on the microphone. If you want to be an imbecile teenager, then I'll just kick you from the server. Right? So are you a teenager, Nick? Nick, I asked you a question. If you're going to heckle, I'm going to kick you from the server. I'll ban you from the server, Nick. Now, I'm talking to you. Are you heckling? I didn't hear you, Nick. Okay, bye-bye, Nick. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I
Okay?
don't get what's with everyone having, every atheist has like the same exact motive, attitude, just characteristic
That's why they're
profile.
atheists, because of the underlying core mentality produces this to a large extent in many, if not most, atheists. Okay? It's because they're not committed for truth, and that there's insufficient reason to believe in God. What their prime directive is, they do not want there to be a God. Why? Is because all they want is autonomy for themselves in terms of their thinking, that the mind of man is sufficient in itself not to acknowledge that it is derivative and that its mind must recapitulate the mind of God in order to have coherence and intelligibility. So what it is the prime directive is to secure and cling to their autonomy of reasoning. And from that, anything that challenges their autonomy of reason for, they just have contempt for. But as we just showed with that philosophical want, because he's holding to the autonomous reasoning of man rather than our reason must comport and be commensurate with God's mind. Okay, this is why he had to resort to going into all sorts of philosophical gobbledygook to give an answer which is no answer at all. When I said to him, "What is this concrete one? What is it?" and he goes, "Being."
Yo, Darth, I think you interrupted. Nick one interrupted in the middle of your answer, I believe. So maybe you can continue about
Nick
what you
is
were saying.
gone. Nick is gone.
He's gone now, obviously.
Yeah.
So what were you saying about that it cannot be other gods but the God of the Bible? And then you said something.
In order for there to be human intelligibility. Do you believe there's human intelligibility?
Yes.
Okay. That's going to require that there be God. And
yes.
That God has to have a necessary. Please do
doesn't.
not. Excuse me.
Fuck you.
Were you the one?
Oh my god.
This is a guy who said he did not want to talk with me. Okay? He said he refused to talk with me earlier today and he fled. Okay, now guess what?
I do agree, Darth. Intelligence makes intelligence.
Okay. Now, do you agree that can you have intelligibility if God doesn't have great making properties?
I don't know what that means, honestly.
He has his properties to their fullest that is better to have than not to have, such as omniscience, omnipotence, always truth revealing, being sovereign. Okay. Are you a Muslim?
Yes.
Okay. Can God be perfect if he doesn't have all great making properties?
I mean, if I'm not sure if it's the right thing to justify God this and that.
Can God be perfect? Can God be perfect if some of his attributes he doesn't possess to their fullest?
No. Then he's not perfect.
Okay. Can God be perfect? If God isn't perfect, right?
Yeah.
How can we be assured that his creation that we can have intelligibility?
Can we say that again?
If God is not perfect, can we be assured that we possess intelligibility as his creation?
No.
I don't understand your answer. No what?
No, we can't.
Okay. So if God is not an always truth revealing God, then we can't have intelligibility, can we?
No. I believe
Good.
so.
Yeah, your God is the greatest of all deceivers.
But Darth,
listen to me, Muddy. I've looked up the Arabic. I've talked with people who are fluent in Arabic. I've looked it up in Arabic lexicons. The Arabic word mucker does not simply mean and especially because of context, it does not mean simply a planner. The Arabic word means to scheme with the intent to deceive. Okay?
Well, sure, Darth.
Right. Now, the Quran says repeatedly that Allah is the greatest of all deceivers. It says it multiple times, does it not?
Does it really?
Yes, it does. Muddy, who made it to look like Jesus died on the cross, Muddy? Who did that?
It's God did it, but there is a wisdom behind it. But obviously,
Okay, I don't care what the wisdom is behind it. Did God himself actively deceive Jesus' mother that Jesus died on the cross?
Jesus' mother was not deceived.
So when she looked up at the cross, she knew that wasn't Jesus?
She was already told by Jesus that
Where'd
he was
you
going to
get
go.
that from? Where'd you get that from?
Well, it says in your Bible that Jesus says, "I have so many things to tell you
Okay,
now,
all
but
right,
you
all
cannot
right.
bear
Listen
it."
to me. You're
Right.
really lost right now. Okay. The bottom line here is simply this: Allah is the greatest of all deceivers. He doesn't have all great making properties. Let me ask you this question: Is your God an impersonal entity, or is he personal?
Personal.
Okay. Does he possess personhood to its fullest?
I guess, yeah.
Are you sure about that?
I don't think I understand the question fully, but I assume yes.
Okay. Well, then to be personal and to have it to its fullest means that you actualize relationality. You cannot be maximally personal without the actualizing of relationality. Are we clear?
Sure.
Good. Your God in eternity past, logically prior to creation, had no one to actualize relationality with. Your God was inadequate. He had to create in order to relate. Muhammad did not, listen to me. Muhammad didn't understand this because he was illiterate. You have been deceived by some guy on the Arabian Peninsula who spread Islam by threatening to kill people, and it took on a life of its own century after century after century after Islam has dominated much of the Arab world, and you are a victim of that. Okay? There's no plan of salvation in Islam. Allah cannot be fully relational in eternity past. He would require making creation in order to be relational. Therefore, he doesn't possess personhood to its fullest. He doesn't have that great making property that to be maximally personal is better than to not be maximally personal. Your God is not always truth revealer, and there's no plan of salvation. And I could go on and on and on. You are believing in a counterfeit misrepresentation of the God of the Bible, sir, and you need to turn to Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, because if you do not, and you continue to believe in the counterfeit representations of God, which are no gods at all, you will die in your sins, and on Judgment Day, you will stand before Jesus Christ, and he will cast you into the lake.
But Darth, what makes the biblical narrative the truth then?
Okay, I already explained it to you. That's been answered. Thank you for your question.
I mean, at least Moody knows about Jesus Christ. I'm happy that he is learning about Jesus Christ more than most Muslims.
Oh,
Megatron.
you know that the Muslims don't believe in the same
Yeah,
Jesus
it's
that
me.
you
It's
believe.
me. I changed my name. I didn't put Barthologist.
By the way, insofar as we're talking about perspective philosophy, you see, this is a topic that when people like him think they're smarter than everybody else, he starts speaking in esoteric mumbo jumbo. Everyone in the room was going scratching their head. Being? What is that? First, he categorically said, no, there is nothing that is ultimate and fundamental. Then later on, 15, 20 minutes later, oh, there's nothing ultimate, but there's something fundamental. He was clearly caught in contradicting himself, and rather than admit that he contradicted himself, he just started boulder dashing. Now, there's only so much of boulder dashing I'm going to put up with. What is the point of continuing on the interchange when he's going to sit there and lie?
Do Muslims really not have a plan for salvation?
No, there is no plan of salvation. All there is if you become a repentant Muslim, um, God will weigh the scales as to who he decides to forgive and who he doesn't. And then some people get their sins punished and other people don't. Okay, so justice and mercy, the antithesis between the two is not resolved. The incarnation and the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus resolves the antithesis between justice and mercy. But you see, Muhammad didn't understand this because he was making this crap up as he went along.
Cool. So are you gonna make that easy $300, dude?
What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew what I was talking about. The Jack Angstridge thing. You heard
Oh,
about the
don't.
proposition for them to give you $300? I'm sorry.
I wouldn't pay any attention to anything that comes out of those cockroach. Okay.
For sure.
You know, some of these atheists, they want to behave as bad as they can be on the internet, and then they expect you to talk with them after they have conducted themselves in the most vile, vicious, and defamatory manner. Okay?
By the way,
Yeah, I
Darth,
probably don't know all the
you mentioned
context.
that you were
Why?
recording.
What's that?
Oh, and you mentioned that you were recording when you were debating with that guy that was pissing you off.
I started recording, but I had a problem. I had a glitch with my audio software, so I had to
Okay.
turn it
It's
off.
just,
I'm
it's just
sure Tom.
thing.
Listen to me carefully.
I can give
Okay.
it to you if you want to.
Okay. Yeah. Post
It's
a
just
link
like,
where we can download it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still recording it. So after that,
That's fine.
I will load it up and give it you a link.
Yeah, like I said, when people behave gratuitously obscene, disgusting, vile, slanderous, defamatory, at a certain point, I'm not going to talk with them. Okay. I don't care how much they walk around like they have brass balls and they're smart. Okay. And you have to ask
Yeah, I
yourselves this
respect that.
question. You have to ask yourself this question. Why are some of these people who are so confident in their atheism, stop flashing your microphone, Moody. Why are these people so obsessed with me?
That is a really good question.
They need to get a life, okay? But I think we all know why they're obsessed, don't we?
My answer is demonic possession.
Yeah, your mic quality's not that good, Nick.
I'll just shut up while I'm on my phone then. Sorry.
All right, the floor is open if anybody wants to make comments about that.
They don't, because they're liars. Because they do believe in God. You see
Okay,
some of their arguments too. It's ridiculous.
All right. So what I'm talking about is the conversation I had with that philosophical numbnuts.
Oh,
okay?
I didn't hear that one.
Right.
I've been away
No,
for a
that's
little
okay.
bit.
So if anybody wants to agree, disagree, in fact, people are welcome to disagree as long as you're not heckling or trolling. Okay.
You always bring up ancient from our perspective, but you're just bringing up Hegel's philosophy as his basic dialectical triad when he says being, nothingness, becoming. He's going to assert that as a Hegelian as his fundamental thing. So it's never brought up in the history of philosophy before, obviously, or recently, but it wasn't mumbo jumbo because Hegel actually asserted that. That was just his base starting point. You just start with being, opposite,
Well, when I say it's
what I'm saying,
when I'm saying it's mumbo jumbo, is because it wasn't germane to the question I'm asking, and he wasn't even making clear. He was simply trying to use that type of nomenclature to obscure not actually giving a clear and intelligible answer to my questions. How many times through the conversation were there long pauses where he was a deer in the headlights. Here's a guy who puts himself on, he says he's a philosopher. He's not a philosopher. Okay, he doesn't have a PhD. Is that his life's pursuit, to get a PhD in philosophy? Good, more power to you. But you're calling yourself a philosopher when you don't have a PhD? How many deer in the headlights moment did we have with him?
A lot of long pauses.
Yeah. Was I asking him questions that were mumbo jumbo? No. See, what I wasn't doing was I wasn't asking questions that implicitly catered to his foundational false beliefs. I mean, his answer was mind-bogglingly pathetic. The laws of logic are fundamental? Where did he get that from? How is it that they're fundamental? They don't stand in causal relations. I mean, he flipped and he flopped more than a fish out of water.
It was painful. Yeah, it was going good for about 20, 25 minutes before you went off the rails.
Well, you know what? I had my Popeye moment. I wasn't going to sit there and just give him a license to continue just to speak in esoteric terms.
I have can you clarify something for me, Darth? And you can mute me as long as you want. But I will still give you the link. So my question will be, because this is what I kind of confused of. I thought every Christian presupposed that the laws of logic are there because God created them. And now maybe I misunderstood it.
The laws of logic are abstractions about the nature that reflect the nature of God. Now, God created at a foundational cognitive level how we would reason, but the laws of logic as universal, invariant, absolute abstractions themselves simply reflect the eternal nature and character of God.
If you mean when they reflect, doesn't mean that they existed before humans were there, because to my understanding, we created the laws of logic. This is what I don't understand.
You're asking the Christian
So you think the laws of logic are conventional?
It's like a method we invented to describe reality. This is my understanding of it.
Then they're not binding and they're not universally binding and obligatory. They would only apply as if somebody agrees to them, like monopoly rules.
Yeah, in fact, this is what I'm thinking. Like very.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Before there were human beings, was an asteroid an asteroid?
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. You just said the laws of logic were invented by human beings. So the law of identity, A equals A, would just simply be a human convention. So before there were human beings, how could an asteroid be an asteroid when the law of identity only came into existence as a conventional invention or
asteroid is just a label we gave.
You're not understanding. What does an asteroid equal an asteroid? Does an asteroid exemplify the law of identity?
Darth, maybe you didn't hear him, but he did say something to the effect that he did not think they're purely and only conventional when he said that they describe states of affairs.
Okay. Well, here's the problem. Are you an atheist?
Who are you asking?
You.
Oh,
yeah.
We did engage before. You banned me already twice.
That's not an answer to my question. Okay, well, then could you please explain to us how there is no God?
Because there is no fact which is leading towards a God.
Oh, wait a minute. You're the guy who did a video and links defaming me, didn't you?
Yes, I was.
Okay, now
yeah.
hold on a second. Shut up, or I'm going to server mute you. Now, you made slanderous and defamatory and including libelous remarks about my personal life. Did you personally verify those accusations that you made about my personal life?
I just posted stuff which were
Yeah.
online.
Okay. So that and defamation. Did you verify that information that it was true?
I verified just partially yet.
Okay. What accusation in my personal life did you verify?
And when we were talking about this, it was. It's like we are
listen to me.
we are
Listen to me.
repeating the
All right,
conversation.
hold on. I'm gonna mute you. Okay. Now listen carefully.
Yeah.
You after I banned you the last time because of your bad behavior, because you were so butthurt over that, you went and produced a video and you repeated slander and defamation about me. Those accusations, did you verify all of them?
I just verified the stuff.
Did you verify all of your accusations about my personal life? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so you are a slanderous person who engages in defamatory accusations, aren't you?
I did not, because I didn't make the
Okay,
accusation.
all right, now you're lying. Okay, listen to me. There's a warm place in hell being prepared for people like you and for you right now. You need to repent and turn to Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior as the only hope of escaping that judgment. You and everyone else, including myself, will be judged for our sins unless we trust Jesus Christ, including your sins of publicly slandering, libeling, and defaming me. I just asked you if you verified all of your accusations, and the answer is clear, no, you didn't. So you are committed to evil. That's the kind of person you are, right? You're a disgusting, vile human being. That you will slander, libel, and defame somebody when you don't know any of these accusations are true. You are simply regurgitating the slanderous and defamatory vomit that comes out of the mouth of other atheists. And where did they get it from? This is all slander and defamation as well. Okay? And now you're banned. What a piece of human garbage that guy is.
Kind of amazing that he'd have the gall to come in here and think he's just going to have like a buddy conversation, right?
I mean, he deliberately out of his way, after last time he got banned for bad behavior, he went out of his way to produce a video slandering and defaming me and posting links to libel about my personal life, which is simply not true. Okay? Yeah, stop flashing your light, Moody, or I'm going to kick you. Thank you, Supreme Leader. Yeah, we deal with a lot of spiritually and mentally deranged people on Discord and on the internet.
I have a question. Are you gonna link the recorded video about this debate?
Oh, I'm sure that it will find its way probably within minutes to Tom Rabbit's channel.
Okay. I'm very curious because I was actually laughing when you were
And go
debating.
to Perspective Philosophy on YouTube. That his channel. I'm sure it'll be there too.
Supreme Leader just posted his link to his.
Thank you, Supreme Leader. See, this is why with some of these philosophical wants, it's even more problematic talking with them, because they will be greater BSers and boulder dashers than your average run-of-the-mill person. And that's exactly what perspective philosophy did. He was BSing.
He's like a hyper veganist, Marxist sort of
What a
kind of
combo.
guy. Like through and through, you know. And it's like
he calls himself a philosopher, and all I did was ask him several clear, circumspect, non-loaded questions, and he had a number of deer in the headlight moments. And he calls himself a philosopher.
Sound like a freshman, pretty much. Like, some verbiage or some nomenclature, but like he should have been taken back by the question.
He's essentially like a pseudo student of Foucault. Right?
Yeah.
He's full of yeah.
What philosopher wouldn't have a deer in the headlight moment?
Gian-Sar, are you there? Earth to Gian-Sar, you made a condemnation of the God of the Bible, where you said that his punishing people in hell was immoral. Now, what I want to know from you, Gian-Sar, what I want to know from you is this: are you omniscient?
No, but I'm sorry that I can't really talk right now. I'm not alone in the room, sorry.
Yeah, run away, little girl. Yeah. Don't you love the megalomania when people try to indict the God of the Bible? So in other words, when they say that God has made an illegitimate determination in terms of the duration of the punishment, what is their standard of measurement that they judge it by? Well, the answer is their human reasoning. Okay? But you see, all they're simply doing is they're trying to throw mud on God. Doesn't work.
How
I may not understand why it's entirely righteous and just of God to send somebody to hell for eternity. Okay, my mind cannot possibly understand that because I'm not God. But all I need to know is that God infallibly reveals that it is just and righteous. Now, if he says it's not just and righteous, then the person who says that is basically claiming to be a megalomaniac, that they are wiser than God about the nature of offenses against an eternal, righteous, and just God.
Holy God.
So, holy God, thank you. Holy, yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I stand
that's why hell is
corrected.
eternal.
I mean, this is, look, it may seem like a harsh thing to say, maybe an exaggeration, but I don't think it is. I think it is megalomania of the highest order to claim that your judgment as to what is righteous and just is better or correct than God's. Where'd you get that from?
They don't care who it's against. It's merely you committed finite crimes, therefore the punishment doesn't fall. I go because it's against an infinitely holy God. That's why it's eternal.
What we had here today with that philosophical want, that numbnuts, what can we learn from that? It's because if you're not careful in asking your questions and keeping them clear, simple and foundational, they'll just throw out all sorts of vocabulary, philosophy-speak, and nomenclature just to simply bamboozle and muddy the waters. And that's what he did.
He was doing it right off the cuff. He was doing it right off the cuff with a simple question, right? And he was putting words in that you'd never said. And you almost got to tell him painstakingly, can you restate my question precisely back verbatim because you keep changing my words. He was doing it right off the very get-go.
Well, if he's listened to my number of debates, he never should have decided to come in here and debate.
Well, it went longer than I thought it was going to last.
I actually tried to.
It took him a while to devolve it.
I actually tried to get him in here like a month ago because I was listening to him talk and I thought, it'd be interesting to see him debate Darth. But I honestly didn't. I'm quite surprised at the poor performance out of him. To be fair.
Poor? Aren't you being generous?
Honestly, from watching a few of his things, he usually sounds more coherent than he did today. I'll just say that.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't think he's a stupid person, right? But he was a train wreck.
He was rattled. He got his cage rattled.
He's really not used to debating this fundamental level stuff. He's used to debating stuff where the fundamentals aren't even discussed and are just accepted on the face front. Stuff like veganism. Right? He's perfectly fine at doing that, but this, no.
Yeah.
That's not being a rigorous philosopher.
He's expecting me to just simply acquiesce implicitly to his foundational parameters. So I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. And
you get a pass on this. You get a pass on that. You know, like
how many times did he flip flop? I said over and over again. Is there anything that is ultimate and fundamental? Is there anything ultimate and fundamental that is attestable and defensible? No, we can't know it. And then all of a sudden he turns around 15 minutes later and he says he knows it.
When he said that, I knew it was going to happen for the pursuit after the 2 minutes. But but yeah, he's just every single debate he's had has not been sort of this level fundamental stuff. It's been very shallow stuff on tax or veganism or postmodernism, stuff along these lines.
Well, I wasn't. I think that I exercised an enormous amount of patience with that numbnuts. Okay, but at the point I got rid of him, I'm not going to put any more up with his persistent over talking and just spewing gobbledygook.
Yeah,
he was wasting my time.
Yeah.
Now, of course, after the video was uploaded to various sites, the atheist keyboard warriors with the blisters on their fingertips will be clicking and clacking away about how Darth Dawkins was destroyed by philosophical perspective.
Annihilated.
Perspective.
I'm just reading through his chat now, and I think you're giving them a bit too much credit. I think even they realised that it wasn't a very good quote unquote discussion for perspective. Like they're trying to discuss with him, basically saying how he could rationalise his agnostic position, which he's still attempting to do right now, which is quite funny.
That's called
he goes,
damage control.
But I am a philosopher. Good. Then if somebody gets a master's degree, they're a doctor, right?
Sitting in front of the mirror. I am a philosopher. I am a philosopher. Yeah.
Yeah, that's he does.
I know I am.
Well,
I'm a good one.
You'll like this. He does regular streams where it's ask a philosopher anything, Q&A, guys, and you'll stream.
Ask a philosopher. Tell me this guy isn't in love with himself.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He goes, sits in front of the mirror. I am a philosopher.
Ask a philosopher.
Yeah. Ask a philosopher.
Now, if he had titled it "Ask a Philosophy Student," then I would not have a basis to gripe. He's not a philosopher.
Yeah, 5 months ago, streamed "Ask a Philosopher Anything." This is
he's done that more than once. He's done it several times.
Yeah, of course. He self-proclaimed philosopher.
Okay, okay. When did he get his master's degree? See if he posted videos, Ask a Philosopher, before he got a master's degree.
2 weeks ago, he's now proclaiming himself a PhD student. So it must have been between 5 months or 6 months and 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure.
He got done reading his first book. Yeah, after he got his master's.
Because of the UK, because he's Britbon. I know the university cycles. It would have been September. Would it be the end or the start of his PhD? It would have been in September when he starts. So around that time, if you actually want to know.
Well, all I can say is this: I think I exercised a lot of patience with this guy, and my patience was just not going to be unlimited. Okay, there's a certain point I'm going to shut him down because he just wanted to be, just run roughshod over me verbally and, just talk esoterically. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't happen within the first 5 minutes. It took 25 minutes for them to finally get off the rails.
I didn't even get here at the start, and I thought.
Oh well, listen to it. I sat silent for much of the time, listening to them going wah 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 wah. See, he's probably going to whine and cry that if only Darth Dawkins hadn't muted me, I was about to make my case.
A half hour later. He's bumbling pretty hard.
I think I've been over backwards being gracious and polite, okay? Being deferential to him most of the time.
Darth, what'd you think of his answer of becoming?
I wasn't here for that part. I'm gonna have to watch it from the start.
Pure gobbledygook.
He was just oozing Hegel. That's his only cop out. Let me just default to Hegel.
No, so one minute he says the laws of logic are fundamental and ultimate. Then the next minute he says he doesn't know what is ultimate and fundamental. Then he says becoming. I mean, he was flipping and flopping so bad.
It's 5 different fundamentals.
Yeah,
in 20 minutes. Yeah. Well, and I think it's this one. Well, maybe not that. Maybe this one. Maybe I'll try that one. Well, that doesn't work. Maybe try this one. It's just shifting and saying the entire dialogue.
On the French, just throwing shit at the wall and hopes it sticks.
Yeah.
So can I put another notch on my belt that I debated a philosopher?
An astrophysicist, theoretical physicist. How many more notches you got?
Well, at least
Darth, that's exactly what you should do. Is you should say you debated perspective philosophy, and he's a philosopher, and make your opponents then say, "Oh, he's not a philosopher."
Hey, listen. In all due respect, at least Krauss, is a theoretical physicist. Okay, the guy earned that. He deserves that.
Theoretically,
this person hasn't contributed anything to philosophy. Not there's any published papers or.
Yeah. Well, I was laying out the PO. Everyone is a philosopher at heart because everyone does philosophy. Even as laymen, people do philosophy. Not all people do it well.
Sure.
So we should really put forward his.
I just uncovered. I just uncovered his master's dissertation. It's 3 sentences. The first sentence is, the ground of all existence are the laws of logic. What is ultimate and fundamental is being. And then the third sentence is, no, scratch that. What is ultimate and fundamental is becoming. He hung himself. I just gave him the rope to do it with.
He tied his own noose.
So in the first half, he was doing most of the talking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long was he in here for?
About a half hour, wasn't it? I think I was clocking about a half hour.
I would say from the time it began till it ended was give or take 2 minutes, the same amount of time it was when the Hindenburg entered Lakehurst and crashed.
Yeah, it wasn't live back then, Darth. You're gonna have to move it out of
Do
my lifetime.
you get the comparison?
It's like move it out of Foki territory, dude.
After I ejected him, he screamed on the microphone, "Oh, the humanity!"
I wonder what he's chatting.
But it looks like his the text chat is just wow. It's just look at it over there. Woo! The text chat is just flying with text remarks.
Someone in the text chat is asking when Darth is
Look
coming.
at it. Go over there.
Right now
Go
he's
over to
asking.
Perspective Philosophy. Look at the text chat. You're not going to believe this. Okay, it's slowing down now. Before, it was just flying. Oh my god!
Right now he's doing damage control like JF. Right, he's
Right.
slapping duct tape on all these holes.
Now maybe
no,
it's
that's not
flying
damage.
because I just turned on
Scotch
to the
tape.
page. I don't know if it's just loading or okay. It may have just been loading for me when I went back to the page. But
So yeah,
Scotch tape on the holes of a water barrel.
There's like a giant hole in the side of the ship. That's not any damage. That was there before.
I mean, this is a guy who, if you look at his YouTube videos, in previous videos, he had piercings in his lips and his nose. I mean, any dude who would do that is strange to begin with.
Pretty sure his agnosticism is that God is actually unknowable. So that would have been interesting to challenge.
Oh, well, I could have gotten on that, but, you know.
Did you take him through the line of reasoning where you can't be agnostic?
I didn't even get touch on that.
Oh man,
Look,
hits him home the hardest. You know.
I remember you just telling me about that argument. It was, it's a really good one.
I already dropped the bomb on him, and he couldn't recover. I mean, you know.
Dropped the neutrality bomb on him right from the very beginning.
I didn't have
the agnosticism thing.
I didn't have to drop a second or third bomb on him. The first bomb nuked him.
Oh, he conceded he's not neutral.
No, I didn't. We didn't even get to that. He just gave me double talk about being neutral. Just listen to the recording. I mean, the guy's a philosophical numbnuts.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to it.
I remember you asked him. Maybe he was repeately dodging it, even on the early going. When you asked him, "Are you trying to
just a lot
say
of
neutral?"
a lot of jumbo mumbo."
I got confused when he said he didn't believe in particulars.
That was insane.
Oh my gosh, he was a train wreck.
Like, now you're a monist? Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm not really a monist. Yeah.
What's I and belief then? What are those?
Yeah,
Those aren't particulars.
Yeah, he was a real train wreck. See, this is what happens when, you know, you don't get challenged from multiple sources, you know.
His stream of consciousness was very Heraclitean. It was just all over.
See, this
the
is
place
why it's
in
good.
flux.
This is why it's good to practice debating with people with various educational backgrounds, knowledge levels, you know.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Well, I have to give him. He does get the Darth Dawkins Gobbledygook Award for February.
Hey, monthly award, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff.
I just listened to part of it. I mean, this is even more of a train wreck because he just said, "I don't know if there's what imposes whether the unity is real or not."
Well,
I mean, these
tomorrow you
guys
should
are-
do a review of it.
Oh my god! Yeah, but that means I'm gonna have to go out to the local pharmacy and get a new bottle of Tylenol before my head explodes.
Well, you can probably pick one up at Walmart too, Darth.
I
It's a
know.
Pepto.
I know. I mean, this guy was a train wreck. It wasn't that he
Sacrifices have to be
disagreed.
made, Darth.
Take one for the team.
Do one for the kipper.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy was a train wreck.
Rub some dirt on it. Take a lap.
This is as someone who's watched him quite a bit, not in agreement. I'll have to stipulate, but that was pretty poor by his standards. I imagine it's because he is really just not used to having those discussions. I think that's the first one that he's ever had about any sort of encountering any sort of presuppositional argument, because everything is already, everything fundamental in every debate he's ever had has already sort of been predetermined or agreed without discussion.
He starts the debate like halfway through the chain of reasoning.
Yeah. You can definitely say that, which is why
Tom Rabbit record this.
Sort of tripped
It's like
over
being in the
himself.
preschool
Wait,
room
did
in
you
the
say
corner,
did
then
Tom
finally
Rabbit
stepping
record
out of
it?
the gymnasium.
Does the
Yeah, because
bear?
I wasn't
does a
here.
ba- you said did Tom Rabbit record it? Does a bear crap in the woods?
All right,
Is the
hopefully I
Pope
can get a
Catholic?
replay.
Does a rabbit crap in the woods?
Actually, if you go to you can see a condensed version of it. If you go to the History Channel, right? Go to the video on the Hindenburg, and he's that thing that's flaming.
To superimpose his name over the picture of the Hindenburg falling, and you get a general picture.
His lack of knowledge was the thermite paint on the outside.
The thermite. Yep, there's a man who knows about the Hindenburg.
What a great idea it was to paint it with an incredibly, essentially explosive material.
It's a Discord, baby.
Oh, he's still live.
Yeah.
So he did like a live stream right after it, but didn't post a video yet. But he just doing immediately a live stream after it. That's pretty crazy.
He's on the stream now. He basically said he has a Hindu friend he was going to try and bring on to talk with. I imagine to console him, but I didn't hear the rest.
Yeah, I'll need some Eastern meditation after that.
So how did it end? Did he have to admit that he was incoherent, or
No, he was quintupling down on doublespeak, philoso-speak, speaking esoterically, and over talking, and I finally had to mute him and got rid of him.
Go extremely reckless at the end.
I was immensely patient during the first 3/4 of the interaction with his just mumbo jumbo. But listen for yourself, okay? The guy was an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, I wish I could have been here, but I had to do something else, so I had to miss it.
Well, you're not going to miss it. It's going to be on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. Was Supreme Leader? Were you streaming this entire time? Because if you were, I could probably catch it later today.
He was, but
okay.
It'll be on Tom Hindenburg.
He'll save this one is another question entirely.
He contradicted himself so many times.
Well, he called himself a philosophy doctoral researcher.
A philosophy doctoral researcher. Well, the point is, he had no business calling himself a philosopher.
Well, I wouldn't beat up on him too bad. Even the professional philosophers didn't do too well when you had your interaction.
I mean, maybe if he had a master's degree in philosophy and he was really, really, really good and sharp, then okay, maybe call yourself a philosopher. But when you did such a just a monumental disaster of a performance, you should call yourself a philosopher. During our conversation, I just said, could you just excuse me for a second? I got to take a bite of my juicy cheeseburger.
Have a bite?
He's talking about celestial Buddhism and how he doesn't understand it. So I'm not sure why he came into this debate without fundamental understanding required for participation.
Well, at least he's on the same wavelength, going Hegelian, and then obviously he's had some Eastern influence. So it's like you're just a monist. You just want to serve monism anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think that line of thinking properly tackles the fundamental argument that Darth was putting forward.
Oh no, it doesn't hit it. He just wants for the one, not the many. Because with Hegel, the individuals are going by the wayside; they're disappearing. Ultimately, everything's resolved in the one.
Yeah.
The Hindu just says we start with the one, and all the particulars are merely illusionary, Maya.
I will say, someone else who it's weird whenever you get people who seem fairly competent in their debates and then come on to debate fundamentals and they seem to struggle. Another really good example of this, not sure if you ever heard of the gentleman called Destiny. I was sitting there live for that, and that was something to behold. That was great. That was.
Are you talking about my interaction?
Yeah, you had two, didn't you?
He's
And the
an
first
idiot.
one, yeah.
He's an idiot.
The first one, he actually had to go away to research the words you're using because he didn't understand. And then he came back and said, right, I've got a better grasp of the words. It's all on his YouTube. Got a better grasp of the words. And even his chat, which was like so used to sitting on the sideline watching Destiny roll people. Even his chat, you can see it live. Even his chat is saying, did we just lose? Did we just lose? And it's amazing. It's so funny to watch.
I just love it when they start doing their homework that they should have been doing before the debate. During the debate, they start doing their homework. Oh, wow, I should have. Let me start doing the homework on this subject now. Like, you're supposed to be prepping for a debate. Before that. Yeah. Not learning halfway through. It's like, like there's actual books on presuppositionalism that theologians/philosophers from a Christian perspective have written. They're doctors of philosophy, okay? And they had doctors of theology too, okay? Both. And they put them in their formal works. So if people understand our position, to hold this apologetic, the literature is there for you to research, get prepped up, then get ready for a dialogue. Have these people just wing it. I watched some YouTube videos, yeah. I think I got the gist of it. Maybe don't have the gist of it. Then we show that they haven't done their homework.
Yeah, I mean, did this guy know that Darth is a presuppositionalist? Did he know about that?
I don't know.
Probably should know that.
He thought he was being some Christian. Yeah, he thought, well, that's easy pickings.
That's where they get the that air of superiority about them, the atheists, because there's a sort of a smart, sort of teenage-esque wit.
Hubris.
Yeah, it's hubris. That's a better description to their aura in how they talk, if that makes sense. And I think it's because I'm not saying a lot. So there are quite a few of them that you would, the average person would probably call them smart, and they're orally quite well put together and are able to defend a position.
And they got a British accent.
Yeah,
he's got more of a Scottish accent. Yeah, that increases
They
the
can-
IQ points by like 20. It sounds more erudite.
Well, it's perception, right? And
well, let me go educate these peasants. Yeah.
but then they'll go after perhaps not so informed Christians and roll them with with critical thinking, just roll it, because maybe people don't understand biblical presuppositionalism completely, and then they get this air of superiority, and then they come up against someone who studies biblical presuppositionalism entirely and crumble. It's funny to see, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you listen to it, there were numerous deer in the headlights moments. It's just, even I was like, wow, this guy is failing more badly than I even expected.
Yeah.
Wow, my video between Destiny had 500,000 views.
Was it? I thought it was last 300.
Wow.
Blimey.
That's
one of his most popular videos, I reckon. One of the.
Well, some of these YouTubers out there, they're just trying to get my name in the title of it so they can get hits because people are searching Darth Dawkins. You see, Matt, you just have to get a little bit more obnoxious and aggressive, and you too can have Google hits on your name.
And you too.
Yeah, just get a little bit more crusty.
You got me owned in the crusty old fart category, but
crusty.
I'm shortly behind you, but you hit the pinnacle. Top of the pyramid for you. There you go.
Can you believe the balls of that guy who did that defamatory video against me after he got banned to come back in here after he defames me? Why would he want to even come and talk with me after he did that defamatory crap?
His peace offering was, I recorded the debate for you, so I'll give it to you. And you're like, I know who you are. You thought that was going to be like a peace token or something like that? But I recorded your debate. Like, everyone was recording that dialogue.
Yeah. Would you have accepted an apology if it was sincere?
If he deleted the video, and if I thought it was sincere, I would accept it.
But
and with the proviso that he acknowledged that his accusations, he not only he didn't verify them, he couldn't because they're not true.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just another recent video, defaming me by another one of these just pothead, crazy nutbag atheists, and they're just out of their minds in just making crap up, right? Look, I have no problem in admitting that if I had done something wrong in my past, I would say, okay, I did this wrong. The accusations that are making against me, the accusations of, domestic violence, mistreatment, they're all false.
Yeah, people do like to put your name in their vids to get hit.
One guy who was an acquaintance of another guy who did a hit piece on me, who just admitted that he was slandering and defaming me, J.L. Warren. He admitted to Corsi, who's a regular in here, that at least what Corsi said, he admitted that he was slandering and defaming me. A guy who he did a video with where he slandered and defamed me again, put my name in the thing, and it got like over 600 views, and his normal views are just around 100 or something like that.
A discussion with the self-proclaimed atheist troll. That was quite funny. That's, one of the worst ones I've seen. From
well,
there.
you know what? After seeing him on camera, not that I'm knocking him for coming on camera, because I don't go on camera. I mean, after seeing him on camera, it's like, well, no, he's probably an atheist because, well,
I
let's
never
put it
go on
this way,
camera, but if I did go on camera, I'd be much
But,
handsomer than him.
Yeah, much handsomer. Yeah,
Handsomer.
If you look at that guy, he's got the kind of face that you would want to punch, and I'm sure the ladies don't look at him and go, "Wow, he's handsome." And by the way, his username was very befitting what he is. He's a troll.
It's a pragmatic username because we don't need to, dig deep to find the truth.
Well, when I called into his show, right?
Yeah.
He deliberately muted me, and I say disconnected me. I use that loosely. He muted me, and he goes, "Hello, hello." Okay, I was still connected. All right, because I could see the timer still going. He's full of crap. Look, we see these atheists. They're duplicitous. They contradict themselves. They lie. I mean, this is normal. This is average behavior for most of them. And when they're not lying, they're obfuscating or prevaricating.
Because usually you discuss with atheists. Do you discuss much with theists? Where you've had a more of a fundamental disagreement.
I missed the first part of that.
Oh, so you often discuss with atheists. I've seen plenty of examples of that. Have you discussed any that sticks out in your mind? Any theists you discussed where you've had a disagreement?
Yeah, of course. When the opportunity is there, we talk. We do it here all the time. We have lots of theological discussions.
I wasn't denying the existence of them. I was just I was interested in listening to some.
Well, I didn't think that you were doing that. Run into people from a lot of different theological persuasions, and we have to correct them on their false doctrine. Unitarians, sacerdotalists, cultists, you name it.
I read Collyridian the other day. That was good fun.
What?
Collyridian?
Is that the name of somebody?
Oh, it's you know what? I actually had to look it up because they said they were one. I didn't understand. It was a woman. Basically, Collyridians were those who thought that Mary was the sort of ultimate God, right?
Well, we don't even know. We don't even know that they existed.
This is the idea, right? But there's a self-proclaimed one,
They are briefly mentioned just once in an indirect reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why I didn't think it was like a probably not a well structured or well thought out idea this person was putting forward. Probably just a woman who liked the idea of having an all female, sort of matriarchal.
They may. I'm not saying they didn't exist. They probably the best guess is that they may have just been a small number of women who did this, and then they appeared abruptly, and then they disappeared.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like like in a TV show where somebody disappears. I mean through the course of history.
Sure. Yeah. Which is why I don't really fully believe this person was that. I think they just liked the idea of it more than that they actually prescribed to those ideas. But it sounds
Tonlock's here now. Tonlock, you bootlicking, sycophantic, obsequious person, you.
Unlocked them. Dawkins, can I ask, what do you think about the more Nietzschean idea in regards to belief being an act and not what is said? So when someone says they believe in God and that's just how they act rather than what they say, would you say that is what belief is?
I think belief is a positive attitude toward a proposition.
But the proof of that expression would be an act rather than what you say.
I would say yes, qualitatively. Qualitatively. But
yeah,
like for example, you could have a physics professor explaining physics, and he has an experiment with a pendulum. He lets the bowling ball go. It swings back, and it comes, and he moves away. He may believe that it's not going to hit his chin, but he's just, he's afraid of getting his chin smacked. But he still may believe that it won't.
Yeah.
They're different. They're different. Well, see, there's different levels of strength of beliefs as well. Okay?
Yeah.
You can have a strong belief, a weak belief.
Of course. But
I have an extremely strong and deeply weighted belief that Rosie O'Donnell is nuts.
Oh, believing fact isn't hard. She is crazy. But in regards to the pendulum swing, I think that's more sort of unconscious biological instantiation forcing a response rather than sort of.
You know what? That's a good point. I would agree with you. Yeah, that's a good point. It's just, it's like you see something coming at you, and you have this, just baked in, like it's coming at me.
Yeah. I'm gonna shield myself, so I'm more likely to pass on genes. It's like the general sort of, we're designed like that.
And that overrides your intellectual understanding of physics.
Yeah, which is interesting if you think.
Yeah,
about it.
That's a good point. I agree with you. Yeah.
Bring up, which sort of gets rid of that issue in regards to belief being what you say over compared to what you do, is like, let's say I have a person who does nothing but eat oranges, but they say they hate eating oranges, but they eat oranges and they sound like they really like them, and they try and get as hold as many as possible. And then I'll ask like an atheist, like, do you believe this person likes eating oranges? And they really struggle with that when they try and sort of weasel their way around it.
It's funny you should mention that. I have a paper on my computer that I haven't read yet, where they tested a group of atheists. I don't know what the number is, but they tested both atheists and God believers, and they said there was a significant emotional reaction on the sensors on their body when they invoke God to do terrible things to them. Okay, so they claim that they don't believe in God, yet there's clear evidence that they had emotional responses when they implored God to do certain things to them. I don't know I forget what it was, but
yeah, I was going to ask the specifics. If you don't remember, that's fine. But yeah, that's exactly what I would talk about. That's exactly the point I bring up, because I'm not as well versed in biblical presuppositionalism, so I go to other arguments that I find more powerful. and that's one of them. And that's a good example. I'll try and find that actually.
All right, I'll be back. I just listened to what he just said after I kicked him from the server. Did you guys hear it?
I was intermittently listening.
This arrogant punk, after he got kicked for being obnoxious and simply not answering the question, and I kicked him, after he realized he was kicked from the server, he goes, "Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you don't do philosophy." You see how this guy is blinded with his arrogance? That unless you go, "Oh yes, what erudite gobbledygook you just said, tell me more, let me take notes." This guy is so freaking full of himself. What a buffoon.
He does a separate video analyzing that one because it's a bit different to the rest of them. Wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. Probably wouldn't want to draw too much attention to it. Who knows?
He just quoted Anthony Flew. Anthony Flew was a God believer before he died. I guess that escaped his attention.